here's where I have issues with Nigeria. They'll be looking to see whether Dele Farotimi has evidence. That's fair. They should look to see if he has evidence. But he has to be given his day in court. The justice system has to be fair. His book brought some accusations on people. The people he's accusing don't like it and they're going to court. Fine. Why don't they meet him on fair grounds in court? From the police arrest to the denial of bail, everything shows that they are not being fair.
I don't understand why they are not arguing for a fair process.
And that is the only thing that anyone with a good conscience in this particular matter should argue for. That is, do this by the book, so that we show that what he is saying is not true.
But now you have...
But rather than do that, basically, if Dele had actually conspired with people to show that everything he said is right, is said to have said in his book is right, he could not have produced a better script. I was telling a few colleagues not too long before this started that this issue, the argument over judicial corruption and, the state of the Nigerian judiciary is going to come to a crisis point. Maybe this is a crisis that it needs for everyone to see that these things are these things are as bad as people say they are.
Folks, I hope you kind of got awoken by the soundbite you just heard from Chidi Odinkalu. Chidi Odinkalu is one of Nigeria's well-renowned lawyers. I'm also going to bring you soundbites from Babajide Kolade Otitoju, who is a renowned journalist with TVC, and you know who owns TVC television. But I'm going to play you sound bites from Chidi Odinkalu and play you sound bites from Babajide Kolade Otitoju. When you listen to those sound bites, you make up your mind who is for the establishment and who is for the people. Folks, what's going on with Dele Farotimi in Nigeria convinces people like me who are speaking from outside Nigeria that we are endangered species in Nigeria. The Nigerian government and the powers that be want to suppress free speech, intimidate journalists, and I don't think the life of people like me and Dele Farotimi is safe in Nigeria, not to talk of people like Nnamdi Kanu. And this is why Nigerians need to make sure they rise. This case of Dele Farotimi and Nnamdi Kanu, which has been going on for a while, is a case of the establishment versus the people. Are the people going to rise, or are the people going to continue to pretend they don't see what's going on and then trying to hush people like me and say, be quiet, they are gonna get you? What's life if you don't have your freedom? What's life if you don't have your freedom of speech?
I think of my family. domestication. We had no timepiece, the cockcrow and the sun, all we had.
Dele is someone who is audacious and has a caustic tongue. When you watch him on TV during interviews, he throws caution to the wind.
That's right.
He opens his mouth, he talks down on people, he talks just anyhow, and he believes that he can explain away any situation. And his interviews are usually laced with a lot of insults, you know, and he has his crowd. He is not likely to agree to apologize, for example, to the people that he has wronged. It's not likely because his group will be telling him, no, don't apologize. And he will believe that if he apologizes, he will lose his standing before the people who are venerating him, who are praising him, who see him as a modern day hero. So he's going to, he's not going to agree to apologizing to Baba Afebola, but there are other people, and this is where I suspect that they will wear him out, because how does he get to defend himself in those cases? And these cases are most likely going to be in different parts of the country. But wherever you are reading his book, as far as the law is concerned, you can file an action in that place, because that will represent where the offense was committed. And if those cases are not consolidated, how many cases is he going to deal with? What I know is that free speech does not permit you to libel others. It does not even permit you to intimidate other people. Free speech is not a license to demonize others. So when people talk about rights, they should know that these rights are not absolute.
So you guys have heard Babalola Kolade Otitoju. Bear in mind where these voices are coming from. I'm not holding court for any of these two people that I'm featuring their sound bites. All I ask you as the listener is to listen attentively and in your mind determine who do you think is speaking for the establishment and who do you think is speaking according to the tenets of law based on experience. That's all I'm asking. I'm not here to bash anybody. Now let's continue with Chidi Odinkalo.
There have been quite a few commentary around how Dele Farotimi was arrested, how they came from Ekiti to Lagos and put him through a magistrate court that refused bail the first time, asking that, look, go and bring a formal application. Days after, brought a formal application, and then they said that, okay, you know what, I'm going to take my time to decide. What do you think is happening in this matter, in your own view? What's your take?
Well, because of the way you framed the question, let me declare my interest. I'm one of those people who have who's done a commentary on this.
Okay.
So I don't want to come here and kind of pretend I'm innocent on this particular matter. Now, the maximum penalty, let's leave all the other jurisdictional issues. So let's assume everything is right in this case. The maximum penalty for this particular charge of criminal defamation, the charges brought against Dele Farotimi, 2 years. Yes?
It's not a felony, actually.
It's not a felony under any circumstance. Now, there is therefore really no reason. There's actually no basis. That's no basis for this procedure of, okay, bring a formal application.
For bail.
And then, instead of exercise, and secondly, that the suspect in this situation is entitled to bail as of right, because there is a presumption of innocence. But part of that is also a policy reason. In our prisons in Nigeria, over 75% of the people in metropolitan prisons are awaiting trial. Okay? That means that the prisons are not holding the kinds of people they've been built for, which will be convicts.
Yeah.
And therefore, we're spending assets and lean public resources on the wrong kind of people. And the average duration of pretrial detention is over 3 years.
In Nigeria?
In Nigeria, as we speak.
Wow.
That would be the average duration for a felony. And many of those people will never complete trial. And therefore, there are actually compelling policy reasons why the courts have to make sure that wherever the crime is bailable, they exercise the powers, discretion in relation to bail.
As it means perhaps also even decongest those prisons.
Okay, so there is a presumption of innocence. The crime is modest at the very best, allowing for every other thing. And there are compelling policy reasons why the magistrate, as I said, any magistrate who will tell you to bring a written application for bail in this kind of case either needs to go back to school or has a mission to fulfill. On that, I'm willing to go on record. The principle of law here is very clear. Unless, of course, we're trying to manufacture something unknown to law, in which case we should say so. Now, our seniors in this vocation made a lot of money and a lot of name
from
stringing out the process of litigation and making the process of litigation inaccessible to all but a few people. Now, in the twilight of their years, in the winter of their years, they find that they cannot get that same process.
Cannot deliver justice to them.
Cannot give them justice.
And so they have to browbeat.
They have to manufacture things that are not in the law. This is my theory.
And
now, in fairness to all parties, let's be clear. That's his position. A different lawyer may argue another position. That brings me to the main point of this discussion. You took Dele Farotimi to court. You didn't give him his day in court. This is a misdemeanor. You've heard what the honorable lawyer said there. So I'm not trying to say Chidi or Dinkalo has all the facts and we have to go by what he says. All I'm saying is let's follow logic. Listen to him, listen to Babajide Kolade, and decide who sounds like they're speaking for the establishment and who sounds like they're speaking for the people. The people in this case being synonymous with equity, justice, and fairness. Now let's listen to the journalist, Babajide Kolade Otitoju.
Until a man is taught an exemplary lesson, he would think that he has the liberty to open his mouth and abuse people at will. Until a man is taught exemplary lesson. And I can tell you, for now, I do not see the signs that he will stop talking. You know, people, newspaper houses will keep going to him, TV stations will keep going to him, and he will speak his mind. But on this matter, given that he's a lawyer, even though he's not a practicing lawyer, he has submitted to the courts, which means whatever decision that the courts take are binding on him. So all of these things, I just believe that he has to be more sedate. He has to speak more responsibly. Activists sometimes, due to human praise, activists sometimes go overboard.
Again, I continue to say I'm not looking at right and wrong here. I'm looking at logic. He's right. People have to speak responsibly. if Dele Farotimi is saying the facts and calling out crooks that we all know are crooks, it's just that, like Igbos will say, arụrụ a na-agba afọ ọghọrọ omenala. So when people have been committing all these atrocities in Nigeria, bribing judges, embezzling money, reaping where they didn't sow, and it's being done all over the country. And to a large extent, we're all hailing them. All we know is they're wealthy. They throw us crumbs. We say, thank you, sir. Yes, sir, master. Eshe, sir. When we now get to a point where people have had it to the tilt, like Dele Farotimi has had it, and I have had it too, and many more people are starting to show they've had it, and then people start challenging these crooks who are so used to going away unchallenged. So this man is saying that Dele Farotimi is irresponsible by saying the truth. That's the shame of Nigeria. And this is a highly placed journalist on TVC. But TVC is the TV station owned by Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Full disclosure, I have to state that. You use your teeth, you use your tongue to count your teeth. That's all I have to say. Now let's hear a little more from Chidi Odenkalu and listen carefully. Listen to the reverence he gives to the age of Afe Babalola. I too give reverence to Afe Babalola's age. 96 years old is a major achievement. All the things he's done, the number of years he has practiced law successfully, all those are things for us to revere. But listen to Chidi Odenkalu, the way he kind of referenced the age, the respect, and all that.
For people who have lived to 90 and beyond, we also do have natural regard for them. And there is a sense to whatever their shortcomings may be after that age, you've got to forgive, you've got to let go, and you've got to allow for the fact that the Almighty has given them, longevity in their innings on earth.
Yeah.
But what you really don't wish on any senior citizen because of that, also is for an obituary that then begins from the end, rather than from
all of the accomplishments of the past.
Accomplishments. You really don't wish that as the story of any senior citizen. And my hope is that in the end, that there'll be cooler heads here, and somebody will remind all the protagonists here, that we are all mortal.
Now listen carefully to the next segment as Babajide Kolade of TVC on one breath condemns Farotimi for speaking out, and on another breath more or less say that no one is saying Farotimi is not speaking the truth. And he goes to just listen.
The moment you come before a court, you know that some of your rights can be taken away. And as I said earlier, free speech is not the license to demonize people, to insult people, to bully people in the cyberspace. No one is saying that he didn't say the truth. But when you mention individuals, you accuse individuals of being grand master of corruption, of being the arrowheads of corruption in the judiciary, then you have to prove that indeed those are the guys fueling the corruption in the judiciary. We do not argue that, yes, the judiciary is corrupt. even the MBS emphasize that the Nigerian judiciary is corrupt. It's just like argue among yourself that Nigerian journalists are corrupt. Of course, we all know that journalists in our country are corrupt. Of course, we know that the police is corrupt. Of course, we know that the customs is corrupt. But it's a different kettle of fish when you now identify individuals. For that courage to identify individuals that, in your view, represent corruption in the judiciary, promote corruption in the judiciary, they will be looking to see whether you have evidence. And if they can see the sign that you are merely huffing and puffing, that you do not have the evidence to back what you set up, there will be more litigation coming your way.
Here's where I have issues with Nigeria. They'll be looking to see whether Dele Farotimi has evidence. That's fair. They should look to see if he has evidence. But he has to be given his day in court. The justice system has to be fair. His book brought some accusations on people. The people he's accusing don't like it and they're going to court. Fine. Why don't they meet him on fair grounds in court? From the police arrest to the denial of bail, everything proves exactly what Dele is saying in his book. A corrupt judicial system.
I think this is what is happening, and it seems to now amount to punishing Dele Farotimi even before a court can hear his argument.
Look, I cannot understand how anyone can look at this in good conscience and call it law. What is happening in Dele's case? By all means, hold him accountable.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to hold brief for anyone on this particular matter. But every rule that can be breached has been breached with impunity. And mind you, the context is what? That Dele, it is claimed, has made allegations about judicial corruption, which are supposedly false. Okay? This is the arcana of the issue. This is the gist of the issue.
True.
And in order to do this, we are showing that there is judicial corruption.
It's incredible.
How do you do that?
A perfect way to end it. How do you do that? Except in a country like Nigeria, where the people who should be fighting are pretending they don't see what's going on and just complaining. Peter Obi won an election convincingly. They stole the election. You call yourself obedience. You did nothing about it. Dele Farotimi wrote some serious things in his book that we should all be very concerned about, because every one of us, even the ones against him today, have been complaining about exactly the things he wrote in this book. Yeah, I took my hat off because I'm mad. Instead of fighting, Dele Farotimi has been unjustly arrested and denied bail, given very stringent bail conditions, and Nigerians are sitting back. Even the ones who support him cannot go out there and fight for him. Let me play with your consciences, whether you're Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, Edo, whoever you are. Ask yourself this: would Zeke, Awolowo, Tafawa Balewa, Ojukwu, Jakande, Alhaji Rimi, Governor Rimi, M.I. Okpara, or Akintola, yeah, they're in different political camps, but they more or less shared the same values. Would any of those people who somehow, regardless of which camp you're on, you like one or two of them, would any of them condone the nonsense that these people are condoning today. If you say that you are an Awolowo supporter, or you a Zeke supporter, or you a Tafawa Balewa or Ahmadu Bello supporter, are you not ashamed of yourself if you are pretending that these atrocities going on in Nigeria are not going on? It's just a rhetorical question. The journalist from TVC said that Dele Farotimi in his interviews insults people. Is what I'm saying on my Allen TV Bold Talk, is it insulting people or is it saying facts in a bold way? When I call Bola Ahmed Tinubu a drug dealer, am I lying? But I'm sure people like Babajide Kolade will say that I'm insulting Bola Ahmed Tinubu. If I say that Bola Ahmed Tinubu stole the election, he snatched it, he grabbed it, and he ran with it, am I lying? Is it an insult? If I say that Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Sanwo-Olu instigated thugs in Lagos to stop Igbos from voting, am I insulting them? Am I lying? The journalist also said that having free speech does not mean you should demonize other people. So if any Nigerian says that Bola Ahmed Tinubu stole the election, are they demonizing Bola Ahmed Tinubu? If any Nigerian says that Hope Uzodinma stole the election in Imo State and Hope Uzodinma is a cabal-pocketed Igbo man, are they demonizing Hope Uzodinma? Facts are facts, but shamefully, well-placed Nigerians like to hide facts because it benefits them. That's the way they serve their masters. That's the way they maintain their jobs. That's the way Babajide Kolade Otitoju maintains his job at TVC. If you listen to his full interview, you're going to even find places where he was very objective. But he always has to come back and serve the master, because if he doesn't, he'll lose his job. Nigerians, we need to wake up. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is Fred Nwankwo coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on Allen TV. And until next time, good night and God bless.
Family, I'm the poor farmhouse we had. There in my home, we had no sophistication. We had no timepiece, the cockcrow and the sun, all we had. Tonight I think of my home, the home where I was born. I think of my family and the poor farmhouse we had. There in my home, we had no sophistication. We had no timepiece, the cockcrow and the sun, all we had. Rise early at sunup, we'd go to the farms, drive the monkeys away from the maize farms, and the birds away from the rice farms. Come back home at sundown, sometimes boss. No one cares for none. They fight and scramble for bosses. They're always on the move. Never enough accommodation, and the roads are always jammed. Oh yes, I think